The Lunaverse by Rainbow Double Dash, episode 26 at the Grand Galloping Gala by Rainbow Double Dash. Chapter 1. Look at Ponyville. Look at Ponyville. Starting in its north and east, look at its apartment buildings and residential area. Most of them are less than 20 years old, the result of a steadily rising population. Ponyville is considered a hick town by many in Equestria, but it is growing, benefiting from the rail station that passes through it and its proximity to Canterlot itself. It is still a rural farming community through and through, but over the past 20 years its population has increased by a quarter. But pay attention to the buildings. Note the state of them. The walls are strong still, but there is not a single completely intact window to be found. The most robust and luckiest windows still feature a few cracks. Most feature holes. Some of them are gone together, shattered, or even actually missing. Some enterprising pony decided to take the time and effort to actually remove them. Look inside any home. You'll see beds, sofas, and cushions for sitting on. They're all in place, but some of them have clearly been pushed out of the way, not in their normal position. That is, when they're there at all, and not missing due to being broken or unrecoverable, or just plain having gone missing. Another prevents stains. Stains everywhere. Food stains, drink stains, and stains of a variety that are thankful unidentifiable at a glance. Move to Ponyville's east now. The wide open plaza at this section of Ponyville should be bustling with ponies. This is the farmer's market, where ponies set up stalls and kiosks and hawk their wares. Mostly farmers, appropriate enough, but other businesses of Ponyville also occasionally set up little side shops here, as well as traveling sales ponies. On a day like today, the farmer's market should be bustling and loud, full of ponies buying and ponies selling and ponies talking. It's not full indeed. It's near empty. If one didn't know any better, one would think that some kind of massive depression had hit Ponyville's economy. The few ponies in the market certainly seem depressed. Even the big red stallion mounting the apple stand. The buyers don't have a lot of money with which to buy, and the sellers don't have much stock to sell. Now move to Ponyville south, then up its west. The south and west of Ponyville are dominated by proper businesses. That is, stores with windows and wares kept inside four-story walls. This being a small farming town, the owners of the businesses frequently live in apartments over their shops. Ponyville has a little bit of everything available to its citizens. Or it normally would. Not right now. The windows of the businesses, interiors of the stores, have fared a little better than the homes in Ponyville's north. Here, a clothier is frantically trying to scrub the graffiti off her storefront. There, a candy mare is still sweeping trash and unsellable candy out her back door. A jeweler is trying to calculate how much of her stock has been stolen, or more likely, has simply been misplaced. A baker and his wife and their apprentice are looking mournfully at a virtual desert, of wasted flour on the floor. Now look at Ponyville Center. The town hall is a wreck, surrounded by a veritable sea of papers that the new officials in town are desperately trying to gather up. The Weather Patrol Station Cloud Silo is also missing its top, and so it sits empty. And the Night Court represents its home and office, and has had its entire front window smashed apart. Oh, Celestia, dang it! Now head from the town proper, and out into the farms. Crops have been worse than neglected. They've been abused, trampled on, and pulled out. Their irrigation systems are exposed and need to be buried again, but not before they're cleaned out. Carrots left out in the sun too long have shriveled and dried to the point of inedibility. The walls holding a pond in place have broken, flooding a grove an inch of water that floats over 3 inches of mud, seriously endangering the apple trees with rot. Now look into the skies. Recall that the cloud silo has also been broken into. The Weather Patrol has, apparently, been out of commission for some time, as the skies overhead are gray and disorganized, clouds clumping together and rolling around without any attempt to control them, because none on the Weather Patrol even know where to begin. Ponyville looks like it's been through a war. In fact, it has been through a party. Not by choice. The Ponyvillians would never do this to themselves by choice. There's magic involved. A curse that forced them all to drink to the point of a loss of inhibition, but never allowing them to become drunk enough to collapse. It took 3 days to break the curse. No pony is seriously hurt. A few bumps, scrapes, and bruises, and a town-wide hangover. But nothing won't recover on its own. But the town? Ruined. The sheer magnitude is shocking, almost comprehensible. Worse is the knowledge that they themselves did it. Not even if by their own choice. But worst of all is the burning question inside the minds of every mare and stallion in Ponyville. How can we possibly fix all this? My little pony, ah, my little pony, friendship never meant that much to me, my little pony, but you're all here now I can see, stormy weather, a lot to share, a musical bond, with loving care, teaching laughter, it's an easy feat, and magic makes it all complete, you have my little ponies, how did I ever make so many true friends? You are listening to The Lunaverse, created by Rainbow Double Dash, presented by Hasbro, listenable on YouTube, and read by our celebrity user. This episode brought to you by Dr. Pepper, Vitamin Water, and Ruby. Can't get enough of awesome girls in your life? What's Ruby? We guarantee you it will be slightly better than the ending to Escaflowne. No, seriously, the ending to Escaflowne. It's annoying. You sit through an awesome series, and then you get to the ending of Escaflowne. It's like, town meetings at Ponyville were open affairs, where every pony was invited to observe or raise questions or talking points, if not necessarily following the affairs of the municipality. Nevertheless, normally few ponies did. But today, 5 days after the curse had been broken, so many ponies showing up at Town Hall that the meeting had been moved from there to the wide open area of the farmer's market. A collapsible stage had been pulled from storage and found to be intact, and so set up near the entrance to the market, with a long table set up on the stage. Members of Ponyville's town council sat along the table, facing the seas of ponies in a riot of coat and mane colors that each of them represented. The town council consisted of 9 ponies. At the center of the table was Ivory Scroll, of course, the elected mayor of Ponyville, who had never expected to have to deal with any crisis worse than a late winter wrap-up, and was more of a cause for embarrassment than concern. To her left was Applejack, the owner of Sweet Apple Acres, representative of the Apple Trust, and direct descendant of the first apples, who founded Ponyville. To Ivory Scroll's right was Filthy Rich, a normally jovial business magnate and direct descendant of the Rich family, who were the second family of Ponyville, and the ones who helped put it on the map by marketing apples as Sap Apple Jam. The Riches and Apples were guaranteed a seat on the town council, while 6 of the remaining ponies, including Mayor Skull, were elected. None of them ever expected to deal with a serious crisis either, and all of them seemed nervous. But none of them seemed as positively distraught as a blue unicorn mare with purple eyes and a silver-maned tail that sat at the right end of the table, who alternated between looking guiltily and the rest of the council with deep concern and the crowd of ponies in front of her. She kept her hat low over her head, and her cape wrapped tightly around her, as though trying to use them as shields. Before the town had set up to stage the table, Trixie Lulamoon, representative of the Night Court of Princess Luna, had delivered some bad news to the town council. She had only been the messenger and had hated the news herself, but she had nevertheless been the victim of a considerable amount of shouting and insults before the other 8 members of the town council had settled down, and remember Trixie had only delivered bad news, not been the source of it. Soon, though, the news would be delivered to the entire town. I wonder if I'll be lynched, Trixie mumbled under her breath. She tried to remember the last time a pony had been lynched at Equestria, but drew a blank. Shaking her a little, she refocused her attention on a standing pony in front of the crowd, a cyan Pegasus with a rainbow mane and tail. Rainbow Dash, head of Weather Patrol. All of our cloud supply for the next 2 months, Rainbow Dash was explaining. She was flanked by other members of the Weather Patrol, who had each had papers in hoof or at least nearby. We've been working double shifts to try and recover the water vapor, and we think we may have enough to supply a few small rain showers. But overall, Ponyville should be prepared for a dry summer. Why can't you just create new clouds? Filthy Rich asked. I thought Pegasus could just make weather. Another member of the Weather Patrol, Raindrops, Trixie's close friend, stepped forward at that. We can, but it isn't that easy, she said. She sounded exhausted, and looked it too. The result of 5 straight days desperately trying to round up all the escaped clouds of water vapor. The weather factory in Cloudsdale is much more efficient and faster, but there just aren't enough patrol members. Try to imagine taking care of every single tree down Sweet Apple Acres by yourself, and then extend that over all of Ponyville. We might be able to do better if we could get volunteer help, Rainbow Dash was soon, nodding in thanks to raindrops. But it's also a problem that we just don't have enough water vapor to go around either. We need a lot of hot days in a row to build that up. 90 degrees or higher. We can't do that. Another pony in the crowd interrupted, standing. She had a yellow coat and an orange mane and tail. Carrot Top, another of Trixie's friends. She trotted up to the front. I'm sorry, Miss Doss, but I don't think my farm, I don't think any farm in Ponyville right now, certainly none of the Farmers Union, can take that. Many of our farms have had their irrigation systems ruined. I've already had my entire crop for the month because of that. We need to save whatever water vapor we have right now after we've all planted. Then we need to stretch whatever vapor we have until we can harvest. But we can't have any hot days that'll waste whatever water we do get into the ground. I'm with Miss Carrot Top on that, Applejack said, nodding to Rainbow Dash and grimacing. Most of Sweet Apple Acres' irrigation depended on the river and pond they had on their land. The pond had broken its banks and flooded an entire field. At least 2 apple trees had died so far for what amounted to drowning, and dozens more were looking like they weren't going to make it either. What is our food situation? Ivory Scroll asked, looking out to the crowd of ponies. Are all of you set? Who doesn't think they'll be able to make the month with what they have? Won't be able to afford to buy more food than to the curse. There was some uncomfortable mumbling and looking between each other. A few hoes rose into the air, but less than a dozen. Ivory Scroll frowned at that. Come on now, ponies, she said. Now is not the time for pride. We need to have an accurate idea of what we need. Gradually, more hosts rose into the air, then more, then more. When all was said and done, more than a quarter of ponies had gathered and raised their hose in the air. Ivory Scroll nodded grimly at that, then looked at Applejack. It was a known fact that Sweet Apple Acres was home to a vast store of specially preserved apples and a few other foodstuff, in case of blight or famine, due to an almost paranoid belief on the Apple family part that either could strike at any time, even in Equestria. Apparently the paranoid was now vindicated. Applejack herself was looking out over the ponies, brow furrowed and hose tapping out a mnemonic rhythm as she did the calculations. After a moment she nodded to the mayor. Might be tight, she said. Some of our stores were broke open, including our largest. Animals got to them and the rest in there ain't fit for consumption. But I don't think we can make it if we use the apples we still got growing. Ponies might pick us for a while, but no pony will starve. I promise. Iris Scroll offered a thin smile. Thank you, Applejack. You can say I told you so if I like. Don't feel like it, Mayor, Applejack responded. Truth is, I'll just soon have been wrong. She went to Carrot Top. Sweet Apple Acres irrigation system will be fine once we get back the water into pond. We'll focus on feeding the ponies now. The rest of y'all just start planting and tilling and fixing what you can. I'll bet that a month from now, even I'll be sick of apples and want something else. A wave of much-needed life laughter spread through the crowd at that, as both Carrot Top and Rainbow Dash and her team sat back down. Ivory Scroll shuffled some papers in front of her, glancing at Trixie. Trixie grimaced at resentment she saw as the Earth Pony Mayor looked at Rainbow Dash. We'll make do with the water vapor we have, she said. We'll try and reconsider more for Cloudsdale. Hopefully there's some. What about the town's emergency funds? Rainbow Dash asked. Almost as one, every pony in town flinched. Trixie looking almost as though she had been bucked square in the jaw as she did. In just a moment, Miss Dash, Iris Girl said, as her secretary came up on stage, looking nervously down the sheets of paper she held in her mouth. Because of the curse, as she pressed on, many of you have been submitting requests to Ponyville for use of the emergency funds. Of course we have, cheerily called. Magenta the Earth Pony was sitting near the front of the crowd, with her older sister Berry Punch, her younger sister Pina Colada, and the rest of her family. Berry Punch looked far from her normal jovial self. The curse had questioned and hit her at least as hard as the farmers, if not harder, as she owned a local bar. A bar that was now completely depleted over and above the damages caused by the riot. Ivory Scroll nodded at that, as her secretary passed her sheets of paper. The pony had just finished adding up the total cost from all the submissions. The total cost of the curse, acquiring clouds from the cloud sale, even at their emergency cost, repairs to municipal buildings, and doling out recursive funds to each of you, is 885,000 bits. The ponies of Ponyville recoiled at that, and low conversation began. Most of them had a sense of where the conversation was about to turn. The emergency fund was set up to help conduct repairs of the exterior buildings, or fix roads that were damaged from rogue ever-free storms. Maybe even help a few ponies through rough times caused by natural disasters. It had never been thought that they would desperately need to essentially carry the entire town for several weeks. Shirley nevertheless stood up at that. "How much is in the emergency fund?" she asked. Ivory scroll winced. "A little over 50,000, she said. There were actual shouts and cries at that. Every pony standing up and first asking, then shouting questions, concerns, and demands. Trixie tried to bury herself under her hat, at least until she heard, over the din, her name being called. "Representative Trixie," Ivory Scroll repeated. The name elicited silence from the crowd. Trixie glanced up. When the mayor had silence, she looked pointedly at Trixie, as did every other member of the town council, along with every other pony in Ponyville. "So, this is what states' right feels like," she mused. She found it to be a secretly unpleasant feeling. "Representative Trixie," Ivory Scroll said a third time, "this wasn't an ever-free storm, the responsibility of our town weather team. This wasn't a party that got out of control through fault of our own. This was an attack on Ponyville by a minion of Corona. A magical curse compelled us to destroy our homes and livelihoods. Under the circumstances, I think it would be entirely fair of us to ask for official help from the Royal Emergency Management Ministry. I believe it is the responsibility of Canterlot to aid Ponyville in our time of need." Trixie shuffled in place. "I agree," she said. Then she repeated herself louder, making sure everybody could hear her. "I completely agree. The REM was founded for exactly this purpose. It should not be Ponyville that has to carry this burden." Your nods of agreement calls a consent for that to the front of the crowd. "Very well, then," Ivory Scroll said. "As you know, we already have alerted the REMM to the situation through you." "I sent the request twice. No, it was an emergency and everything. And—" Trixie's mouth clamped shut at that. Slowly, carefully, she withdrew a sheet of paper from a pocket in her cape, an official invoice from the REMM, and signed by his head, Nightlight, the House of the Starlight, Viceroy Latigo. She looked around the crowd, then back to his paper, then back to the crowd, and back again, back to the paper. "The REMM," she read, "regrets to inform the town of Ponyville that it will not be—" That was as far as he got before the crowd of ponies began shouting at their lungs in anger, shuffling about, throwing their hooves in the air. The wings of Pegasus flared and horns of unicorns going dangerously. Trixie couldn't help it. She panicked. Her own horn glowed, and she turned herself invisible and bolted from the stage. Canterlot wasn't much surprised when she arrived home to find Trixie in her living room, sitting on the floor and running her hooves through her mane, normally expertly styled, but now a mess of cowlicks and split hairs from the poor treatment that her hooves were giving it. Point of fact, the Earth Pony farmer had been expecting to find Trixie here. His wife Raindrops, Cheerily, Lyra, and Ditsy, the Caritas Trixie's 5 closest friends, were with her as she closed the door behind her. Trixie turned quickly when she heard the door close, stumbling forwards. "It's not my fault!" she cried out desperately. "It's not! I'm just a messenger! This isn't my fault!" Before she could get much further, Ditsy Dew was upon her, wrapping her hose around the blue unicorn and holding her close. "It's okay. We know." The gray, wall-eyed Pegasus assured her friend. "We know. Every pony in town knows, too. They're just angry right now. They'll calm down." Trixie's arms and legs gave out a Ditsy's embrace. She just held her friend close, eyes wide, staring off into nothingness. There was a bang that Trixie's nerves really didn't need right now. Every pony jumped and saw Raindrops staring at the floor. Then she just used the front hoof to punch a dent into the wood behind her. Crying out, Raindrops slammed her hoof again several more times into it. "Stupid!" she exclaimed as she hit it. "Useless! Government!" Her hoof broke through the floor, then into the basement below. She nearly lost her balance before steadying herself with her wings and breathing heavily. She looked at Carrot Top. Face still look of very contained anger. I'm sorry. She stayed for politeness' sake, if nothing else. She probably still felt regret. It was just overridden by the anger right now. Carrot Top shook her head. Next to everything else? She asked. It's not anything. Can they do this? Shirley demanded, coming up to Trixie. According to the Trot Act, the REMM has to supply aid to any township in Equestria that has been the subject of an attack by a hostile force. Trixie grimaced at that, taking out the letter from the REMM, glancing it over again before passing it around. That's the thing, she said. The REMM doesn't believe that this was Zikora's fault, that this was an attack by Corona, seeing as Zikora escaped Ponyville doesn't have any proof. Viceroy Nightlight says that he thinks that Ponyville is just trying to abuse the REMM to help pay for the damages we caused. Wait, Lara said, holding up a Viceroy Nightlight? Nightlight? Trixie grimaced and nodding. Yeah, Twilight Sparkle's father. He's the head of the REMM. The five mares looked uncomfortable for Trixie, while Trixie herself still looked as though she had just come out of the other side of the seas. Twilight Sparkle, arguably Trixie's biggest screw-up since coming to Ponyville. The Lavender Unicorn had come to Ponyville, looking to learn at the hose of the of magic. She found Trixie far from the Sorcerer Supreme, amazing magic user she had thought Trixie was supposed to be. They had argued. Trixie had tricked Twilight into embarrassing herself in front of the town, causing Twilight to go into the Everfree Forest, bring back an Ursa Meyer, who was perceived to wreak havoc on Ponyville, until Twilight and Trixie, working together, had been able to banish it back to the Everfree. In other words, rather than facing responsibility for her actions, she had fled from the town, leaving Trixie little choice but to report her as a criminal. Weeks later, she had learned that Twilight Sparkle was the daughter of Nightlight, Viceroy of Latigo, and, quite possibly, the single most powerful member of the Night Court of Luna. His reach was vast and resources were limitless, and it seemed he hated Trixie for what she had done. You need to apologize, Dizzy told Trixie, eyes focusing on the blue unicorn. Normally her eyes wandered, but when she willed them into alignment, she had the most intense stare of any pony Trixie had ever met. You need to apologize to him, Trixie. I've tried! Trixie cried out, throwing her hose in the air. I tried when Princess Cadenza visited Equestria. I've sent three letters to him, both in Latigo and his estate in Canterlot. They've all been returned unopened! You think I want an enemy in the Night Court that big? Trixie wanted to get into the Night Court, the governance of Equestria, so he said that this was going to naturally involve making some enemies. In fact, she had several of those already, notably Greengrass, who would teach her to get the elements of harmony under his hoof. But Viceroy? Contradiction for Viceroyalty? In the hierarchy of the nobles within Equestria? The three Viceroys were second only to Princess Luna and herself in terms of political power. Trixie, meanwhile, didn't have any noble title. Indeed, had only properly entered the Night Court 6 months ago as the representative of the Night Court, glorified messenger and go-between. Can we go over his head? Raindrops asked. Go directly to the princess? I've tried, Trixie looked down, moaned. I've tried, but with the gala in 3 days, he's been kept busy with everything. My letter said he only sends things to her desk. She probably hasn't had time in her office for a week. You need to fix that, Carrot said. This isn't the first time we've had problems because you couldn't get in contact with the princess. If I had a jangle for every pony who wanted a direct line to Luna herself wherever she is, Trixie deadpanned, I would hoof the bill for Ponyville myself, Trixie sighed. I was going to catch a train to Canterlot tomorrow, try and go see her directly. But if I can't, we might have to wait until after the gala before she's free again. Why not at the gala? At the gala? Quarter her in the gardens or something. You have your ticket still, right? Can't you just go see Princess Luna then? Trixie shook her head. 2 reasons. 1, every pony is going to want to see Luna at the gala. I probably won't get a chance. And 2, I wasn't going to go. She sat back on her haunches. I'm not going to dress up and go to a party while every pony else in Ponyville has to deal with the mess. Raindrops grimaced. Fair point. She succeeded, sighing, looking around. Carrot home had fared better than her own, was becoming infested with bugs during the 3-day curse that had gotten everything into everywhere. But the damage to Carrot livelihood was far worse, with her irrigation system having somehow been filled with wine, and her harvest for the month lost. Even with earth pony magic making the carrots grow faster than they otherwise would, it would be a long time before she could recoup her losses without help from Canterlot. Though she could, at least, take a measure of comfort in the fact that the same applied to every pony in Ponyville. But how could a viceroy, a noble of Luna's night court, let an entire suffer just to get back at one mare?